Coming up on the February 13th edition of Sports Extra, women's tennis suffered the agony of defeat in the national championship again.
Basketball also lost a tough one to those darn Dukies, but we'll tell you why there's no need to panic.
And it's not all doom and gloom, as women's lacrosse chomped the Gators in a top 5 matchup. All that and so much more. Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm Rivers Upchurch.
And I'm John Assetti. Let's get right to the drama of the day, the ITA National Team Indoor Championship, UNC against those Florida Gators.
Following quick losses at doubles and number 5 singles, the Heels found themselves needing to win 4 of the 5 remaining singles matches.
Sarah Davatilla did her part, sending her opponent packing in straight sets on court 2.
After Florida picked up an easy win on court 6, Alexa Graham fought to a straight sets victory on court 4, cutting the Gators' lead to just 1. So it all came down to Haley Carter and Jessie Aney. Both needed to win for Carolina to stay alive. Aney, facing match point on court 3, scrambles here to keep the point alive, but then the overhead smash seals the deal for Florida, and the Gators take the national championship by a final score of 4-2, making the Tar Heels runners-up for the second consecutive indoor season. You know that hurts, and as the women's tennis team, they've had a lot of company lately. There's been a whole lot of heartbreak in the past 12 months for Carolina athletics, with 8 trips to Final Fours and only 3 championships to show for it. First was men's basketball's devastating loss to Villanova in the NCAA tournament back in April. Then in November, field hockey lost in the championship game against the Delaware Blue Hens. Yes, Carolina lost a national championship against a team that calls themselves the Blue Hens, followed by both men's and women's soccer eliminations in the College Cup. And then today, the women's tennis team came up short in the finals for the second year in a row, this time suffering a heartbreaking defeat at the hands of Florida. And although it might seem like Carolina sports programs have trouble claiming that number 1 spot, they do actually have the clutch team. 3 teams brought home the national championship. Men's tennis dropped rival Virginia for the indoor championship almost a year ago, and both the men's and women's lacrosse teams won their national championships with wins against Maryland at the end of May.
Men's basketball started the toughest closing stretch for any team in the country Thursday at Duke, where the Heels looked to win their second straight game in Cameron Indoor Stadium. Carolina's front court took a hit with Isaiah Hicks missing the game with a hamstring injury, while Duke's backcourt scorched the nets. Luke Kennard and Grayson Allen combined for 45 points on 17 of 30 shooting, including a red-hot 7 of 12 from 3 for Allen. Jason Tatum punctuated a 19-point second half with a posterization of Kennedy Meeks. Kennedy, don't jump! Justin Jackson fueled UNC's offense with 21 points of his own, but the Heels stalled out late, allowing Duke to finish the game on a 16-8 run to assure a quiet night on Franklin Street. Duke wins 86-78. Not all basketball news was bad this week, as the preliminary NCAA tournament seedings came out on Saturday. The projections have UNC as the number 2 seed in the South region, where the Heels will be paired up with 1 seed Baylor, 3 seed Florida, and 4 seed Butler. The NCAA will continue to release updated seed projections until Selection Sunday on March 12th. Now, I'm definitely still hurting from that loss, but basketball analyst Paul Beam is here to help give you viewers at home and myself a few words of encouragement.
Everybody panic! Nah, I'm just messing with you. Let's all take a page out of the Aaron Rodgers playbook, RELAX, relax. I know this loss to Duke stings, as do all losses to that school 8 miles down the road, and I know it seems like Carolina has been losing a lot of these games lately, and you're right. Coach K has had a distinct advantage in Duke-Carolina games against Roy Williams. But Roy has the advantage in a few more crucial categories. Since Roy came to Chapel Hill in 2003, he has racked up 8 ACC regular season titles. Coach K, on the other hand, since 2003, has won only 3 ACC regular season titles. Williams also has the upper hand in terms of Final Four appearances, with 4 since 2003, while Coach K again falls short of Roy's mark with only 3. The 2 Hall of Fame coaches also both have 2 national championships since 2003. So what I'm saying here is that just because Duke beats Carolina, that doesn't mean Carolina hasn't been the better program under Roy Williams. Do you feel better now? I know I do. But I'm not quite done spreading the good news. Carolina has 4 more games against the top tier of the ACC this season, and 3 of them are at home. Home court advantage is always nice, but it's incredibly valuable in the ACC this season. The conference as a whole has been virtually unbeatable at home, as it has won a combined 82% of its games at home. But if teams across the board are dominant at home, that means they're vulnerable on the road. The conference has won only a combined 37% of its road games. So it's a huge deal for Carolina to have so many home games left against top-ranked opponents down the stretch.
Well, Paul, before we get to those games, Carolina has to take a trip over to Raleigh on Wednesday to play the Wolfpack. How do you see that one going for the Heels?
That question has a very simple answer. Carolina will be fully healthy for only the 3rd game this season. And I believe when healthy, UNC is the best team in America. The Heels are a lock to beat State. And you know what, John? I'm going to go ahead and make a few more predictions right here, right now. Duke-Carolina rematch on March 4th, the Heels are a lock. ACC tournament, the Heels are a lock. NCAA Final Four, the Heels are a lock. National champion. I can't give away all my predictions right now.
Paul, you got to be knocking on some wood over there, man. That's basketball analyst and Nostradamus for hire, Paul Bean. Thanks, Paul.
The UNC JV basketball team fell to Northfield Mount Herman High School on Sunday. And behind this win against the JV squad was a future Tar Heel. Lindsay Sparrow introduces us to this incoming shooting guard.
Andrew Platek is a 6'4" senior at Northfield Mount Herman High School and a 2017 UNC basketball commit. And the first time UNC men's basketball lead recruiter and assistant coach C.B. McGrath saw him, he was quite impressed.
Played hard, competed, drew charges, made threes, all the things that coach likes and talks about. Andrew actually did.
His versatility on the court made him stick out in the recruiting process, especially for Coach Roy Williams.
As we were recruiting other people, I just kept on thinking, this guy's perfect for what Coach Williams likes in terms of what he does and what Coach stresses, and he's very coachable and those kind of things.
Platek's high school varsity team traveled to Chapel Hill to face off against the UNC men's JV basketball team. Platek displayed his range of skills with 5 points, 5 assists, and 8 rebounds.
Well, I bring a little bit of everything, I think. I'm a pretty good defender. I make shots. Today was I struggled a little bit from beyond the arc, but that's one of the things I pride myself on, is just making shots and, just being a complete basketball player.
Despite several other offers from Division I schools, Platek said he found a home at UNC.
Just the Carolina family. I mean, everybody talks about it, and just the relationships that you build and the people that you're around. I mean, these are going to be brothers for life, and I can already feel part of the family right now.
Platek will be coming to Chapel Hill in June to begin his preparation for the 2017-2018 basketball season. But until then, he has plenty of time to enjoy the rest of his high school career. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lindsay Sparrow reporting.
Platek and his team also faced off against the Elon JV team this weekend, winning 104-67. It's a pretty good high school team.
The Boston College Eagles flew into Chapel Hill on Thursday to take on the Lady Tar Heels in Carmichael Arena. Right from the opening tip, BC seemed to have a handle on this one. The Eagles shot 62% from behind the arc, splashing a school record 15 threes on the night. They also dominated in the low post, both offensively and out-rebounding the Heels 49-31. Head coach Sylvia Hatchell was not happy with her team's lack of intensity. Carolina did get 31 points from Jamie Cherry and another 22 points from Paris Key, but it just was not enough, as UNC falls at home 88-77. And nothing really changed on Sunday afternoon as the team traveled to the Carrier Dome, where Syracuse thumped the Heels. Paris Key scored 27 points to lead the Tar Heels, while Jamie Cherry poured in 17 of her own. The loss was the Heels' 3rd in a row and their 8th of the last 9 games. The Lady Heels returned to action, hosting Georgia Tech on Thursday.
Moving from hoops to handsprings, the gymnastics team took to NC State for a quad meet this weekend. The gymnastics team stuck its landing, defeating NC State by just 2/3 of a point. Junior Madison Nettles captured 2nd in both floor and vault, and Caitlin Hedelin won 3rd in bars. And the rest of the team, well, they earned a participation for their dance skills. Morgan Lane won the all-around competition and the beam, where she matched her career high with a near-perfect score. Lane says the team was ready for the quick turnaround to compete on Sunday.
I'm actually really excited. We've never done 2 meets in 1 weekend, so it'll be interesting, but we finished out great today, and I think the energy is just gonna keep carrying on. We gotta take care of our bodies, but I think we're going to be so ready to go on Sunday.
The Heels won their second straight quad meet in 3 days, this time defeating Towson, Temple, and number 24, West Virginia. Morgan Lane and Madison Nettles led the way again, finishing second and third in the all-around competition. Carolina will face New Hampshire next on February 17th in Carmichael Arena.
It's not just our varsity athletes who compete for national championships. Our Tiara Marsh caught up with members of the UNC club gymnastics team who are getting ready for nationals.
Beams, chalk, judges, and more. Welcome to the world of gymnastics.
It was really fun. It was very different than what I used to do when I was in high school. It was more competitive, and at nationals last year it was more relaxed and like a lot of fun. And I think being with the whole team was just a really great experience.
Melody Noel, a senior, is talking about her experience at nationals last year, where she placed third on floor. In order to go to nationals, the club members need to compete in 2 meets, and this weekend was the team's third and final classics meet. But getting to nationals is expensive. Junior Brianna Dideau.
To fundraise for nationals, we work at football games, basketball, swimming, gymnastics meets, like any type of sports events that happen on campus. We work them, and we get money towards our club for helping set up or timing during the meets or tearing down, things like that. And we also do benefit nights at different places on Franklin Street.
The cost for nationals changes every year. Simply, the fun of the experience is worth the hassle of fundraising. Noel says the bonding and support the gymnasts give each other are the best parts of being on the team. Nationals are in April. In Chapel Hill, I'm Tiara Marsh, reporting.
This year's nationals will be held in Columbus, Ohio. The team will continue to raise money for their upcoming trip. Well, John Cena might have played a Marine in a movie,
but we have the real seal. That story when we come back.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. Who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
The #1 ranked women's lacrosse team traveled to Gainesville, Florida on Saturday to take on the #3 Gators. Carolina led for most of the game until Florida tied things up at 9 with just 8 minutes left. The tie was just a Tar Heel tease before upperclassmen like Ella Hazar and Sammy Joe Tracy released the heat with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 goals in the final 4 minutes to secure a 13-10 victory in their second W of the season. The men's lacrosse team improved its record to 2-0 with a 7-3 win at Furman on Saturday. Brian Balcom made an impressive 12 saves, as you see one of them right there, finished just 2 shy of his career high. Junior attackman Chris Cloutier netted 2 goals of his own en route to the Tar Heel victory. Carolina hosts Lehigh, can you say Duke, at Fetzer Field at 1 p.m. next Saturday.
Highly competitive athletes know injuries could come at any time, ending a season or even a career. But researchers in sports medicine are trying to both predict and prevent the unexpected. Rachel Scott has the story.
2 ACLs, 3 surgeries, 10 months of recovery, and counting. These are just a few of the numbers Sydney Holman is all too familiar with.
I never thought it would happen once, let alone twice.
And those numbers don't stop there. An NCAA study covering 16 years of different sports found ACL tears make up 4.3% of injuries within women's lacrosse, the second highest percentage overall.
Women's lacrosse, especially, people are tearing their ACLs all throughout high school, and it's just become a huge kind of epidemic.
Zachary Kerr, a research scientist in injury prevention, looks for patterns of injury among college athletes.
With a lot of severe injuries, such as ACL injuries, is that we're finding that it's happening at a higher incidence in females.
The incidence rate among women is 50% higher for ACL tears, but this isn't the same with all injuries associated with contact sports. The same study found over 4,000 concussions for fall football, 7 times greater than the next highest frequency of concussion.
A lot of the focus has been on concussions lately, but I think the next thing we're all going to be talking about in the next 5 years is going to be overuse injuries.
These overuse injuries are seen in both endurance and contact sports. And even though the physical aspect of contact sports does pose an increased threat of injury, Holman says it's the part of the game she likes the most.
I think the contact sports is like what I live for. I love the competition, the challenge.
And she still says that, despite the price she's had to pay. In Chapel Hill, I'm Rachel Scott reporting.
Holman will compete next month when the women's team hosts High Point on Friday. Anytime the Heels take on the Blue Devils, they love to pin a loss on those guys from Durham. 2 pins? Well, that's even better. The Heels fell behind 8-0 to the Blue Devils in the first bouts of the night, but it was a pair of pins that helped knock out Duke. First-year Devin Kane pinned Duke's Michael Wright at 165, and junior Daniel Chade wanted in on the action and matched Kane with a pin of his own. Heels took the match 25-15. Coming off their win against Duke, the team traveled across the state to Gardner-Webb. Friday night, the main event came in the 174-pound class as 6th-ranked Ethan Ramos took on Austin Trott. Ramos took an early 2-0 lead with that reversal, but things soon got pretty heated as Trott locked Ramos in the chicken wing. Yeah! Ramos eventually escaped the match with a 4-2 win as the Heels wrapped up the regular season with a dub, 23-15.
Navy SEAL training is one of the military's toughest tests. Our Lydia Tolley shows us that one Tar Heel uses wrestling practices as part of his training to become a SEAL himself.
Okay. Junior Thomas Singley is preparing for SEAL training by wrestling for the Tar Heels.
Sometimes you have to be strong before you can do good, and that's how I feel I can do good in this world.
Singley has been wrestling since he walked on this past summer.
As an undergrad in college here on a Navy scholarship, my services to the Navy after I graduate, that's going to be my job.
Singley said wrestling augments his SEAL training by teaching him how to persevere in difficult situations while maintaining a team player mentality.
We may all think it sucks during the time that we're in here for a 3-4 hour practice, whatever. But, I mean, it just makes us that much stronger, really. It makes you grow tighter. I mean, when you sweat with people you care about, when you bleed for people you care about, that really brings in that closeness, and that's what I really like about wrestling. I may get my butt kicked in here, but that sure as heck is going to prepare me for life in the real world.
Singley said wrestling is completely separate from his actual SEAL workouts. For these, he'll lift every day, run every day, and swim every day as well. Singley will apply for SEAL officer tryouts after this semester. Singley needs to successfully complete the tryouts to be eligible for an officer position.
I want to make that very clear. I'm not a SEAL yet. and I have to complete this tryout. I have to put it down as my first choice preference come my senior year. And then once again, I have to be notified whether or not it's I get it or I don't.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Lydia Tolley reporting.
Looks like the odds are definitely in his favor because he kills that daily training schedule. When we come back, stop us if you've heard this one before.
It's a severe case of Deja Duke up next.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. Walked into the shelter right then that she was special.
The men's tennis team had a solid weekend match as the Heels earned their second straight win over a top 25 ranked opponent when Ole Miss came to town. The Tar Heels served 23rd ranked Ole Miss a score of 6-1 in Carolina's last match before heading to the ITA Indoor Championships, where the Heels will try to defend their indoor title, trying to avoid the heartbreak the women experienced just this afternoon.
UNC softball spent the weekend in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, competing for 3 days at the Division I Puerto Rico tournament. On Friday, the team took on Illinois and California. UNC junior Taylor White drove the first Carolina run with an RBI double and scored on a sacrifice fly by Berlin De La Mora, but it wasn't enough, with both games ending in losses for Carolina. UNC had a chance for redemption against these same two teams again on Saturday, resulting in a hard 13-0 loss against Illinois, but a much-needed win against California. Then on Sunday, senior starting pitcher Kendra Lynch went 2 for 2 with a walk and 2 homers and 4 RBI to lead Carolina to the victory against Georgia Tech. Heels go 2-3 against some stiff competition.
Guess what, guys? Carolina baseball is back, and with baseball, America's second-ranked recruiting class. The Tar Heels took the field for a 3-game scrimmage this weekend. The team divided into light and navy blue, and some new faces made quite the impression, including freshman pitcher and USA baseball alum Austin Bergner. This is the last weekend before the regular season begins for the Tar Heels, as Kentucky will visit Chapel Hill for a 3-game series beginning on Friday.
Both of UNC's fencing teams traveled to Durham to battle it out with the competition this weekend. 2 squads, 5 opponents, 720 total fencing matches for the Heels. On Saturday, the men's team picked up wins against Johns Hopkins, MIT, Boston College, and Air Force, but fell short to the host team and their rivals as Duke defeated UNC 21-8. Despite that loss, the Heels come away with an impressive 4-1 finish, and the Tar Heels will travel to Kansas City this weekend for the Junior Olympics tournament. Now on Sunday, the women started out the day against Northwestern, clinching the win against the Wildcats with this point by senior Amanda Lalazarian, who helped Carolina take home the Duke Cup in the foil competition. Freshman épée Justine DeGrasse showed off her poise and put an exclamation point on her win. Yeah, Justine. The Heels went 4-1 in the meet, falling only to Duke again by a single point. Carolina will return to Durham in 2 weeks for the ACC Championships.
5 distance runners from the track and field teams traveled to Seattle this weekend to compete in the Husky Classic. Sophomore Morgan Ilse had herself a meet. She won her heat in the 3K and beat her previous personal best by 7 seconds. Senior Mark Derrick made his season debut and finished 22nd in the 5K. And the women's team headed down to Clemson for the Tiger Paw Invitational. Nicole Green had a standout performance in the high jump, tying her season best at 1.85 meters. That was good for first place. Sarah Howard placed second in the shot put with a mark of 16.41 meters. The Tar Heels head to Wake Forest for the UCS Invite on Friday.
This weekend marked the 3rd annual Carolina Fever Fight Cancer 5K, and Fever had its biggest turnout yet with 120 participants. Since 2015, Fever has partnered with the Versus Cancer Foundation to raise money for pediatric cancer research. Some ran and some walked as participants completed a 3-mile trek across campus. Prizes went to the top 3 winners from each gender. When Sports Extra returns, men's basketball is gearing up for a showdown in Raleigh on Wednesday.
We'll relive some of the top moments as the Heels home away from home.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Checking your fantasy league?
Nah, just my 401k statement.
I can't seem to save anything.
I got a pizza for a Todd.
Hey, can somebody spot me?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Well, even though the game against the Devils didn't go as planned, the Heels still have a big one this Wednesday when they visit PNC Arena to take on the Pack.
Here are all-time top 3 moments from the Heels in Raleigh.
Starting at number 3, we go all the way back to 1979, and Carolina's in trouble in Reynolds Coliseum. State rebounds a miss with a 1-point lead and seconds to go, but watch out for Dudley Bradley. Bradley swoops in from behind, grabs the steal, and slams it home to give Carolina a nice 70-69 win.
And at number 2, we go back to Reynolds for a low-scoring tilt from 1997. And down 1, the Heels force a late Pack turnover. Dean Smith calls the timeout, which sets the stage for Ed Cota. Cota dribbles left, finds a seam, and guess what? He puts in the Cota Flota. State goes for the desperation shot, but it's blocked by the long arm of the law, Anton Jameson, who then celebrates the 45-44 victory.
And at number 1, you know what's next. Take it away, Jones Angel.
Gets the roll. Here we go. Page has it. Carolina down 1, 84-83. Page into the front court with 4 seconds. Page to the rim. Got it! He got it!
In 2014, Marcus Page pours in 35 points as he outduels State's TJ Warren in an 85-84 overtime thriller.
Well, Rivers, I know what my favorite State memory is, but what's yours?
How about just a few weeks back when State came to Chapel Hill and lost by 51? I thought that was a pretty good one. Would you agree, John?
Definitely. I loved that one. But
can't beat that. I mean, unless we beat them by 52.
Literally cannot. But
that does it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching. Good night.